Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. It's just past 12, so I'm going to get going. This is a webinar on how to boost CRM adoption in your law firm and how to fix the top issues. My name's Simon McNidder. I'm from Promptr CRM. I'm going to go over and split it into three sections: the technology, the data, and your people. I've been in CRM for about 30 years, most of it in-house, so I know where you're coming from. I started off in PricewaterhouseCoopers, as it's known now. I was PW when they merged with Coopers. I am that old. And I remember going into the head of the marketing department in the Midlands region, the new chap, and saying, look, all our data and our database, our mail shots, our events, it's all duplicated. And he pointed at me and he said, you've got that job. And I remember thinking to myself, what a stupid thing to say. What did I do that for? He obviously knew me far better than I knew myself. And I loved it. Great big meaty project. I'd been used to doing events and mail shots, those sorts of things. So when I finished with PwC, I went to Pinsent Masons, took them through 5 mergers, each time bringing in a system, or bringing in the same system after buying it the first time, and then every time we merged, bringing them into the tool. Won a couple of CRM awards while doing it, and then about 10 years ago, jumped ship to be a consultant or contractor for law firms and accountants for their CRM systems. And then during lockdown, thought, you know, I can do this CRM better, not more and more complicated, but more attuned to how lawyers work. So I set up Promptr with a fully managed CRM service with the software, the alerts, the data updating, all in one. Okay, so let's get going. So the tech is nearly the easiest thing to solve if you're after getting higher adoption. But you never ever hear lawyers say, how often do you hear lawyers ever say, I want to use a database today? It's not very often, if at all. Maybe 1 or 2% of your firm might go, do you know what? Yeah, I need a database. I need to do absolutely everything. But it's about 95, 98% of your firm go, do you know what? I don't want a database. I don't want to overcomplicate my life. I'm busy enough doing fee earning work, recording my time, billing, and all that sort of stuff. So let's show you some ways around those sorts of things. Okay, so for step 1, what does your system really need to do? If you want to manage relationships and understand what's going on with and who knows who and things like that, and a full overview of all the activity and the BD and the marketing and the lawyers networking around your firm, you need a CRM system. Okay? That's what those things do. If all you want to do is send newsletters and event invitations, a CRM is a very, very big sledgehammer to crack that nut. You're probably more likely and better suited, and it's much, much cheaper to have like an email tool. There are loads around, and probably the best known is MailChimp. Yeah, it's not very much per month. Plenty of people can support it and use it for you. Okay. Likewise, if you're doing bids or pipelines or anything like that, a CRM system, if you're wanting to bring pre-made CVs in and credentials and things like that, then generate a PDF or a Word document, something like EasyPQQ is probably a better bet for you. Okay, so CRM systems. Let's presume you want better understanding of relationships. Okay, most of them are far too complex. Wherever I've been, I've stripped out features, stripped out fields to make it more palatable. Imagine a database with 100 fields in it, and you're just a typical lawyer. I mean, it's going to be terrifying. You're not a BD professional or marketing, or only a very, very rare few lawyers will want a great big system. Okay, so you need to cut that down and just clear out as much as you can. About 5 years ago at Gowling, we took on the interaction. They'd had it for many, many years, and it was a scary beast. It did a huge amount of things. There were fields and tables and folders everywhere. We really cleared it out and made it very much easier. And usage, with a few other things, usage has shot up. Okay. Get the basics right. Really, a CRM tool, if you want your lawyers to use it, is going to do 2 things. It's, without them lifting a finger, it's going to tell them when things happen to their contacts or the contacts they want to know. Okay. And those are just weekly alerts. If it's so simple, you can bolt a whole variety of things on, or you can design something on the side of it, or you, quite frankly, have a system that has that already built in. And all you do is you ping the lawyer an email once a week or before a meeting, updates about the contacts you're going to meet or updates about your contacts. Okay. If you then start going, right, well, we need to do tracking and this and that and the other, that's step 2. If your suppliers are going, well, we can do all these 100 things, it's probably too much for a lawyer who probably hasn't started doing number 1 yet. A bit like using Microsoft Word. We probably all only use about 5 or 10% of its capabilities. So you really need to look at, are the databases that you've got or that you're looking for if you're after one of these systems, does it look like it's been designed for marketing and BD and a lawyer's got to use it? Or does it look like it's been designed for a lawyer or an accountant and the BD and marketing teams will use it? I would suggest you look for the simplest, most easiest, most naturally engaging system that uses with lawyers. Outlook tracking. So this is a technical feature on the side of CRM systems. You might hear it being referred to as signature scraping. What this does, and it's brilliant, it's a complete game changer. If your CRM system doesn't have this, you're never going to get adoption. It answers so many problems and solves them. So what it does is it links your CRM tool to your Outlook emails. And if your lawyers or your accountants email the clients or the contacts and they email back, it generally says, I'm going to add that person into the database. Okay. And then the really nice ones also say on the incoming email, they look at the email signature, the footer, and go, right, well, the job title needs to be added, or the phone number is different, or the address is different from the details that we've got in the system. Do you want to update it? Okay. Now that is, and I've implemented that from a firm that doesn't have it to having it. It is a light year's worth of difference. The feedback is amazing. It is the only way of bringing in the data and getting things like that into the system. Okay. So some actual feedback about the data, and then I'm going to go through how to solve some of the things. I'm going to read them out. My clients aren't in it, so I'm not using it. Updating it isn't a 400 per hour job, quite likely. There's duplicates everywhere. They get in by the users. And my favorite quote, I think, of ever is, I found the record, saw it was wrong, thought I should update it, but didn't. And that's what you're against. The data is the building blocks of your CRM system. All that CRM is doing is taking the information from all the sources and then giving it to you. And if that's rubbish, you're getting rubbish. So that's even worse than not having the information at all. Okay, so let's go through some ways to solve it. I've never had a bad experience of deleting stuff. Okay, in all the years I've done it, I did it at PwC. So for the Midlands region, and this is nearly 30 years ago now, when we were merging, I deleted half the database for the Midlands region. So it was all the rubbish records that I thought were rubbish. I left 2 years later, not a single person had picked me up on where's this or that contact. Okay. And all it did is it made the system run a bit quicker, but everybody that was looking at details were looking at proper details. Okay. What you're after is a lot of information and knowledge about a few contacts, your best people, the ones that are giving you recurring work, and it just boosts your profitable growth. Okay. So only keep your engaged contacts. So I've been at firms where they've had Interaction or any other system for many, many years, and they're keeping absolutely everything. I've recently deleted about 2/3 to 3/4 of a database off the system, and all that's happened is we had positive feedback from users. Okay, and then we've enhanced the information on it, and you can do that with a nattily named annual spring clean. Okay, so that everyone really knows in the UK what a spring clean is. Whether they do it or not, that doesn't matter. But a database spring clean, take all your records, check them with the contact. So these days it's dead easy because you've got email. The first time I ever did that, email didn't exist. And one of the reasons for doing it was to get emails for all the contacts. verify that their details are in the system. So you go, your details are in our system. We're just checking that, that's all right. Please indicate your interests and any issues that are affecting you, and we'll make sure you've got the right sort of information, or tell us if you want to be removed. It doesn't affect your client service. It just stops the email tool sending you newsletters, that sort of thing. The results are brilliant, just brilliant. I have never had a project like that hasn't paid for itself. So I was dealing with a small law firm in the Midlands. We did that sort of annual spring cleaner survey with them. And they got back, one of the responses was one of the issues where it says, what are the issues in the next 12 months? I've been trying to deal with my father's probate for about 9 years. There you go. Take that and hand it right to the private client team and get that solved. Yep, that is just good client service as well as anything else. And what happens is all the people that say they're interested in X, Y, and Z, you send them the X, Y, and Z newsletter or the event invites. So we did this at Pinson's about 25 years ago. We were doing the first spring clean, and the next seminar we were doing was a property seminar. Can't remember the topic, many, many years ago. And we said to the partner, right, well, you've got your old mailing list, but look, these are the people that have expressed an interest in this particular topic. We've got enough time. Let's send those people the email first. And obviously you got the objections of what about all the old people that used to get it? Well, if you didn't get enough people coming to the seminar, we'll then send it to your old mailing list that haven't bothered to respond. It was a brilliant, brilliant problem. The response rates were many, many times higher. The room was double filled. So it was all sorts of admin nightmare of having to work out another seminar and things like that. That is the power of cleaning your information, asking your contacts what they want and then giving it back to them. And of course, that does nothing but generate opportunities and leads for your various client team, your lawyer teams. So your data, who's going to update it? Our recommendation is you centralize it. You've got 3 options, haven't you? The lawyers, you can ask the lawyers to update it. You can ask the lawyers' PAs and secretaries to update it, or someone in the marketing team, or some other centralized thing. So let's start with the lawyers. They're not going to update it. One of the bits of feedback on the previous slide was updating it isn't a 400 per hour job. Too right, it's not. It isn't for a lawyer to be spending their fee earning time or anything like that, or any business development time, updating the job title or adding a contact into the system. It should be done by somebody else, most definitely. The only thing you want your lawyers to be doing is adding if they've gone for a coffee with somebody, because that's the only thing that the system or a person can't do for them. So you might be going, right, well, actually, it's a secretary's job then. They, let's say that within their objectives, 10% of their job should be updating their team's database or their section of it. You'll get to your PDRs or appraisals or end of year reviews, whatever you like to call them, and you'll go, right, well, how did the database updating go? And your secretary is going to say, well, I had to do client work and I had to do these things that the lawyer asked me, and then the team wanted this and that all took priority, so I did that instead. The database updating is the last thing that anyone ever does, but it's the first thing they moan about when they look at the system. So you've got to work out something. So our recommendation is to centralize it. Now, if you give that job to a marketing assistant, that marketing assistant or their first job are going to go, I didn't come into marketing to do data updating. And it's going to be the worst part of their job. And that might well mean a high turnover. So someone else has to do it. Now, you can employ a data updater. You can have a consultant or contractors or data stewards, depending on what system you've got, how you refer to them, they could do it. Or you can have a system that, as part of the service, does much of the data updating for you. So it spots duplicates, it does typos, checks the incoming emails so that the details are right, that sort of stuff. And that's where Promptr comes in. So I'm not here to tell you use Promptr, but I'm saying these are all the various different options of what you want and how you want to centralize or outsource your data updating. Our advice is whatever you do, if it's centralized, reserve some time each week to do the data updating. If you don't block out the time, let's just say Monday morning, Friday afternoon, whatever, it's never going to get done. It's always going to be bounced. And the amount of duplicates and bad data that get into the system, or bad data that isn't removed from the system, that is really a big problem. And it's just one of those things that the users we'll use as an excuse to say, I'm not using this system because. You can, bit of fun, you can do a data quality dashboard. Any good system will have some sort of reporting tool on it. And as long as everyone can see it, you go, do you know what? This is a transparent system where, here we go, here's the number of contacts. These are the best contacts and all that sort of stuff. Talking about best contacts, and I get asked a lot, well, how do we identify? So you can either identify contacts to delete, or you can identify contacts to keep, and you delete the rest. I've tried it both ways. When you try and go, right, well, let's delete these contacts, these contacts, these contacts, you've probably spent about half a day and you've touched 0.01% of your database. If you set some rules in the system to say, these are the contacts we want, so they're known by a person or known by more than 2 people, for example, they've responded to events or mailings, or someone's met them, or they're within they seem to be they're new, things like that. I think there's about 14 regular searches we look at. And if someone doesn't match those rules, they're put in the pot for archiving. And we do that every week. Okay. It doesn't work when you've got a brand new system, or it doesn't work if you aren't recording who's going for coffee, or you're not recording who's clicking on links or coming to events. Yeah. If there's nothing to check on, you have to get that bit first. One massive bit, and I touched on it a few moments ago, is the Outlook, signature scraping, Outlook tracking, whatever you like to call it. It is brilliant. It has been such a complete game changer at one of my big clients that I'm at, is that it's just updating details. And it's doing thousands a week. Yeah, from job titles, maybe there's a misspelt name or address or phone numbers, or the company name is slightly different, what the client wants it or the contact wants it compared to what's in the database. And it's just brilliant. But you have to have a centralized team to manage that sort of stuff, because that's not going to a secretary's inbox or a report or anything like that. So data, very important, often overlooked. You can't have a decent CRM system without good quality data, and aim for a lot of information on your best contacts, not as many people as possible. Okay, so you've got people. Now, people will use any excuse whatsoever to say, I don't need to overcomplicate my life. I'm not going to use this system because, and they'll come up with a lot of things. My contacts aren't in it. The data's out of date. I don't have the time. I don't know how to use it. Nobody else is using it. Why on earth should I? So I've covered the first 2 points. The contacts are not in it and the data's out of date. That can be done centralized or with an email linking tool. You've then got, I don't have the time and I don't know how to use it. Okay. So that's easily solved. Okay. You're not asking the lawyers to use it. You should be asking the lawyers to utilize the information in it. Someone else should be using it for them. So you can remove that obstacle. And when they say, well, I haven't got time to use it, you go, you don't have to use it. Get your PA or your secretary to use it for you. Add all the details, or the system's doing it for you again. Now, the senior buy-in, you're not going anywhere without either the team leaders, the group heads, or the top of the firm going, we think this CRM system is going to help us give an outstanding client service, cross-sell more, convert more leads and opportunities into work. If they're not saying that, you haven't got a chance of getting it anywhere else. There's no point a CRM database manager or whatever trying to show everybody to use it if the top people are going, that's a silly little tool, isn't it? No point whatsoever. So once you've got a couple of senior people who are using the system and going, do you know what, that's fantastic, capture their feedback and tell everybody about it, because you can guarantee that the other senior lawyers, they're not listening to people like you and me and the CRM database manager and the marketing person or anything like that, but they'll listen to the other lawyer. What a cracking story. Nice bit of feedback from a fairly senior partner in one of my big clients. Said, right, well, I was about to visit the chairman of my client and I had an alert from the system, and it said that one of the other team in one of the other departments, so it would have never been bumped into at a coffee moment or a water cooler moment, said he'd actually gone on a bicycle charity bike ride with exactly this person that I'm meeting, because that's what the alerts do, isn't it? They give you an alert about the person you're about to meet or the people that you know. And so what a fantastic conversation starter that partner was able to have with his client to say, oh, how did your bike ride go with XYZ, my colleague? It just shows that your firm is got joined up thinking. You're acting as one firm, that your right hand knows what your left hand's doing, that sort of thing. So there are various carrots and sticks approach to getting adoption up. The best one is a bit of a stick approach. I was at Pinson's about 25 years ago. We'd installed a CRM system, brand new in those days, all newfangled. And we were toddling along at a quite low level of people adding in that they're meeting a client. There was no Outlook link to calendars or emails in those days. So it was all reliant on, I'm going to press a button to say I met them. We were trotting along at a low level. Then 1 month, it just shot up and then carried on at that level. And I was patting myself on the back thinking, oh, I've done a really great job. No, one of the team heads had said, this is important. None of you are getting your expenses back for visiting the client or going networking, like sandwiches or taxi or train fare, tube fare, that sort of thing, without putting a corresponding BD note into the system. Yeah. You can use them for appraisals as well. End of year, half year appraisals. What BD have you done and what client service sort of stuff have you done? Let's look in the system. And if it's not in there, it hasn't happened. Okay. That's a very, very quick, 2 quick ways of getting the system up to date with BD notes. I've gone for a coffee, that sort of thing. You can make it a bit of fun as well, gamify it. Well, I've had a lot of success with putting in a BD leaderboard. You can do it with reporting. Promptr, anyway, has it already built in because it just would. But the gamification, who's adding BD over a time period? So about 6 months, let's just say. You go, right, well, you get a point for adding in that you've done I had a coffee, done. How many points have you got? You know, it really, and split it by team and then put teams against each other to go, right, well, the employment team, 50% of them are updating the details, but the private client team, 20% are. Come on, employment, well, hey, that sort of stuff. You'll find that it becomes a little talking point, and that some of the team leaders are a bit competitive with each other, and they tell their team, you're adding that sort of stuff, aren't you? And they go, oh, yeah, I am now, that sort of thing. And that just raises the usage and the adoption of the system. So just make it as easy as possible. Handhold your lawyers. Who are the key people you want to use this? Are they marketing? Probably not, but they'll use it anyway. It's the lawyers. So make their life as easy as possible. Regular training, frequent tips, any one-to-one hand-holding sessions. I'll come into your team meetings and give me 5 or 10 minutes in your team and just show you what the benefits of the system are and how to add the details, that sort of stuff. When it comes to training, I've had chats with big suppliers. And they'd be going, yeah, well, what we're going to do is we're going to get one of your meeting rooms. We're going to put 10 computers in it, and we're going to get everybody in for 2 hours and train them up. And there's no senior lawyer that's going to do that. They're not going to remember everything they got shown. And 2 hours away from their desk, 15-minute training via webinar these days. Benefits of the system, what it's going to tell you and what to do with it, and then how to log your BD or ask someone to log your BD. There's your senior lawyer training, 15 minutes. You can do it every week for 15 minutes, every Tuesday morning, for example. And everybody knows, oh, just book onto that, done. PAs, secretaries, a bit more training, and then BD and marketing is a lot more because they use it as a database and they're really battering it every day. Okay. Your user support, it is never ending. Okay. This is not a tool that you install and then 6 months later you go, that's absolutely fine, done that, next project. The usage will just tail off. Okay. So there's a little slide about me and what Promptr is and how it helps law firms, but I'm going to leave you with this slide. Traditional CRMs are much like owning a racing car. You need some really good skills to get the best of it, to drive it and to support it, and it takes a huge amount of effort to maintain it. Promptr is a bit like having a chauffeur so that you can spend time doing what you do best, not on the database chores, whether it's using it, updating the data, or supporting users. I hope you found that a good 25 minutes of your time. If you have questions, please get in touch. I will send you the slides afterwards. But I hope that helped. Thank you very much for your time.